Hi, my name's Steve Andrews, and I'm a staff psychologist at Northwestern University's Counseling and Psychological Services. And today I'd like to talk with you about how to manage anxiety and worry more effectively during this global pandemic using what I like to call the 4 C's. Now, before we get to the 4 C's, there's a couple of things about anxiety that I want to mention on the front end. First and foremost, anxiety and worry serve a protective function for us. They help us to anticipate problems that we might need to solve. And anxiety thrives on the unknown and uncertainty. And there's no shortage of uncertainty and potential problems right now. The coronavirus affects people in pretty unpredictable ways. There's no surefire treatment. We're still learning about it. The economic fallout from the global pandemic is real, and we're seeing increases in individual acts of racism and xenophobia and the effects of institutionalized racism and classism writ large. So all that to say, if you've been feeling more anxious or worrying more, it's totally understandable and normal. Now, anxiety affects people in some pretty common ways. It can interrupt our sleep. It can negatively impact our concentration. In our bodies, it can be experienced as muscle tension, trembling, shaking, sweating, the sensation of our heart racing or pounding in our chest, and shallow breathing. And none of those sensations is inherently dangerous, but anxiety can be a pretty uncomfortable emotion to experience. So let's move on to the 4 C's and what we can do about it. So the first 2 C's are calm and center, as in calm your body and center your mind. And what I mean by that is it's important to find ways to engage the parasympathetic nervous system to put the brakes on our fight or flight response and interrupt the cycle of worry so that we can maximize the cognitive resources available to us to understand and solve a problem, if there is one to solve. Now, there are several techniques that you can use to calm and center. A few of my favorites are progressive muscle relaxation, diaphragmatic or paced breathing, and mindfulness. Now, if you'd like to learn more about those techniques, CAPS created a website called Breathe with guided exercises to learn how to do them. And the website is northwestern.edu/breathe. So after we're calm and centered, the next C is clarify, as in clarify the problem. Now, Dr. Reed Wilson, an anxiety expert, talks about 2 different types of worry, signal and noise. Now, when worry is working for us, it's pointing us toward a problem that needs solving. But there's also a lot of what if and catastrophic noise that anxiety and worry can create for us. So let's use an example here. Let's say there's a student who's worried that they or a loved one might get sick, and as a result, they might not be able to finish out the academic quarter, and they worry that they won't be able to graduate on time, and their financial aid will be affected, and that they won't get an internship that they want, and that they won't have the career that they dreamed of, and on and on and on. Okay, so it can be kind of hard to sift through, like, what's the problem? What's the problem that's being signaled by that worry? Now, in that example, for me, what stands out as the problem to solve is coming up with a backup plan or basically an emergency plan if the student or a loved one were to become sick. And in those worries, there are some different it seems like there's some different information that needs to be gathered for them to solve that problem. So, for example, talking with an academic advisor about how their course sequence would be affected if they were out for a quarter, and how they could address that. Speaking with the financial aid office about how their aid would be affected or if it would be affected. Learning more about the medical leave of absence process if they had to be out for part of a quarter. So to me, in that example, coming up with an emergency preparedness plan is the problem to be solved. And the 4th C carry out is pretty straightforward. Once you've identified the problem and what you need to do to solve it, carry out the plan. Those are the 4 C's: calm, center, clarify, and carry out. There are 2 other C's that I think deserve an honorable mention, but I thought that 6 C's might be a little intense. The 5th C would be choose, as in choose wisely the information that you're taking in. We're bombarded with information in a 24-hour news cycle, and it can be hard to tell what to pay attention to. And so sticking to scientific, credible sources with minimal bias is going to be the best way to go there. And the sixth C is communicate, as in don't be alone with your anxiety and your worry. Talk about it with other people. Sometimes emotions take on a life of their own when we're holding them in, and it can be really helpful to connect with others. So, and I guess that's the 7th C, connect. That's definitely way too many C's. But thanks so much for watching, and I hope that you found this helpful. And I wish you and yours good health and safety. I'm Steve Andrews from CAPS. Take care.